Making e-waste recycling more accessible, presented by e-waste reducers.
So my name is Sarah Puente, and in this project, I was the project manager and the creative design lead.
My name is Juliet Sagaro, and I was the project coordinator and research manager. Abstract. Every year, 50 million metric tons of electronic waste, e-waste for short, are produced throughout the world, much of it ending up in developing countries with no access to proper equipment to handle it. Developing countries will have workers burn or salvage these electronics. Workers are exposed to toxic materials such as nickel, zinc, lead, chromium, barium, and flame retardants, which can all cause damage to the human body. It is important that we learn to recycle ethically when it comes to our unused electronics. In our research, we found that only 20% of all electronics are formally recycled. In order to solve this problem, we decided to design an app which would make e-waste recycling more accessible to the general population. We first created criteria for our app. We wanted our app to give the user options when it came to their device type. The user would also be given the choice of donating their electronics or recycling them. This would result in a pop-out window that would display different organizations that provide donation or recycling services. We then made a simple design for how we wanted our app to look. We decided to use the MIT App Inventor to design a functioning prototype of our app. Our final product was able to meet our criteria.
What is the purpose of our project? The purpose of our project is to reduce electronic waste by finding a way to make recycling and donating more accessible to the general population. How do we reduce waste? We reduce waste by finding ways to reuse, reduce, and recycle. In our app, the user is also given the option to donate their device. It is important to have a device be reused before it is recycled. The option of ethical recycling will also help e-waste by extracting valuable materials and putting them back into the economy. If everyone continues to recycle their electronics through certified recyclers, we will no longer need to take valuable material from Earth.
Background research. Electronic waste, e-waste, is a growing problem. The Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, defines e-waste as a subset of used electronic devices. Most of these electronic devices are thrown away before they are truly unusable. The world produces as much as 50 million tons of e-waste each year. Only 20% of that e-waste is recycled each year. The other 80% either ends up in landfills or is shipped off to developing countries for recycling. This exposes the workers that deal with e-waste to toxic materials such as mercury, lead, and cadmium. The methods used to recycle these materials include dismantling, shredding, or melting materials. These methods are able to release fine dust particles or toxic gases that cause air pollution. Electronic waste can also lead to the contamination of soil and water. Electronics are recycled in order to get back valuable materials such as gold, silver, copper, aluminum, platinum, and palladium, and other components. The e-waste produced annually has a value of $62.5 billion. It is possible that as much as 7% of the world's gold is in electronic waste. Many components of electronic devices can be recycled, but others are too toxic or damaged. Mining, refining, and manufacturing components of e-waste consumes a great amount of energy and has a toll on the environment. We used the precision screwdriver kit in order to take apart 3 electronics. We were able to completely take them apart due to their toxic components, but we were able to gain a lot of insight on electronic components and the difficulty of taking them apart.
So one of our outside experts that we met with was Jim Puckett. Jim Puckett is the executive director and founder of the Basel Action Network that works towards making electronic waste recycling ethical. Jim Puckett spoke with us about the e-waste recycling industry. He informed us that the problem with e-waste is that so-called recyclers will export electronics to developing countries that will only extract valuable materials while dumping the toxic components of electronics. The Basel Action Network, BAN, has taken the initiative to prevent the export of toxic waste. They came up with the e-Stewards program, with certified recyclers as being ethical through strict standards. They are able to do GPS tracking on electronics. We also learned that when it comes to electronics, you do not want it to be exported overseas, thrown in a landfill, or even sitting in storage. In order to solve the e-waste problem, the most important thing is to get your community informed on recycling their electronics through certified recyclers.
We also met with Jessica Miller. Jessica Miller spent a significant amount of time working on e-waste and building a recycling program at the Illinois EPA. Jessica Miller provided us with information on electronic waste legislation. We were able to learn about how bans on electronics in landfills can reduce e-waste and contribute to recycling. Texas currently does not have a landfill ban on electronics. We learned that also in Texas, it may be difficult for consumers to find an ethical recycler near them that recycles a specific type of electronic they wish to get rid of.
So to create our solution, we use the engineering method. We brainstormed that we wanted the app to make it easier for a consumer to be able to locate ethical recyclers near them and make it easier to be able to donate or recycle their electronics. The app contains a screen for the person to choose what type of electronic it wants to get rid of, then a screen to give the option of donating or recycling the electronic. This will make it easier for the person to find a recycler that recycles electronics ethically and will accept the type of electronic they wish to recycle. When choosing a solution, we chose to design an app to help the consumer find ethical electronic waste recyclers near them.
Designing a solution. When designing a solution, we asked ourselves, what is the problem that we need to solve? Well, we needed to find a way to increase the amount of electronics recycled by consumers. This solution should be easy for consumers to access. We also asked ourselves, how can we solve this problem? We can solve this problem by creating a mobile app that consumers can use in order to recycle. This should also include a donation option. This is our app design. We decided to go with a simple app design that would have a screen where you enter your location, choose an option between donate electronics and recycling electronics, and where you would select your app type, and then you would recycle electronics through these organizations.
When designing a functioning app, we used block-based coding in the MIT App Inventor in order to build a prototype for how our app would function.
Testing our solution. Here we tested the solution using the MIT AI2 companion.
Our solution is Easy E-Waste, an app that makes it easier for the consumer to find a certified e-waste recycler near them to drop off or mail in the electronic they wish to recycle. We created an app that would help people dispose of their unused electronic devices. The app gives the user a choice of donating or recycling their electronics. We were able to prevent electronics from being sent to landfills by making ethical electronic recycling and donating more accessible. Here are all our works cited for all our research.
Here's our expense report. We used 2 precision screwdriver sets.
As for donation, we received 3 cellular devices donated by Liz Osorio. Here below are listed the models.
And here are expert contacts, Jen Puckett and Jessica Miller.
Thank you to our project STEM lead and amazing teacher, Ms. Clucci.
Thank you to our experts, Jen Puckett and Jessica Miller.
Thank you to our project donors, Mrs. Osorio.
And thank you to YWPN donors.